What is it like to be a fitness athlete in the IFBB? It's one of the hardest divisions in our sport, and we have a guest here today who is going to share her journey, her experience, trials, tribulations, all the details, because not only is she an IFBB fitness pro, she is a wife, she is a mother of 2 beautiful girls, and she's a badass. So welcome, Tiffany. So happy to have you join us.
Thank you, Whitney. I'm so honored and excited to be here.
Well, you and I go way back, so this is going to be super easy and so much fun because this girl is hilarious and doesn't hold back. I mean, what you see is what you get, which is why everyone loves you.
Oh, thank you.
Now, do you realize that we went pro together?
In 2011?
Yeah.
Yes.
Different, I mean, we were in different classes, but I still remember seeing you for the first time being like, just your hair, your aura, your energy, we were so beautiful. And then we went pro together, and we've actually competed together on the same stage, I don't even countless times.
Yes, many times.
But let's go back, because you had a totally different experience, like growing up with, you know, in our division, some people have a dance background, some people have a gymnastics background. I know you have a gymnastics background, but what was it that really intrigued you, number one, about our sport? And was it the fitness division that got you in because of your background, or were you in bikini, figure? Give us a glimpse into what propelled you to say, I want to get in this sport and I want to do it in a big way.
Funny you asked that question, because I deal with a lot of athletes now, and I like to speak with college athletes on their identity and what is next.
Yeah.
So I was a gymnast in college, cheered in college, was a part of a hip hop dance team through graduate school. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So I was actually working my first full-time job, living in Daytona Beach, Florida, kind of searching for my identity. Mm-hmm. And YouTube had just come out. Just come out, you know, back in the day. And I Googled fitness. Literally, what can I do? What is fitness?
Yeah.
And some fitness routines showed up. Ooh. From the Arnold and from the Olympia. And I was like, I like this. Ooh, I can do this.
Yeah.
And so at the time, I had actually reached out to Tangi Johnson.
Yep.
And I told my mom, I'm going to fly from one end of the country to the next. I'm going to be gone for 3 days. If you don't hear from me, send a search party.
And of course, at that time, Tangi she's a name in our sport. She has accomplished a ton. And it was great because there weren't many coaches at that time for fitness athletes who could help with the whole prep, the dieting, and the routine choreography.
Right. And I did. I went out there and visited for a few days and got an idea of what the sport was like. Mm-hmm. And I came back, and I was with Mike Matassa down in Daytona Beach, and I stepped on stage in 3 weeks.
Wow, doing a fitness routine.
Doing a fitness routine.
That's impressive. Wow,
so
okay.
I did a little bitty show in Florida. It was like a level 3, I think is what they were called back then. And then drove into Alabama to do a national qualifier, and then went to Universe and won my pro card. So all of that was in a 6-week span.
Okay, that's impressive. And just for everyone to know, that is not normal.
No.
People don't typically turn pro that fast, but it's a testament to your natural talent, to what you were doing for years prior in regards to kind of being an athlete and being a well-rounded athlete, not just being in one specific genre.
Right.
But not having a fear of performing is something that you can't teach that. So if you enjoy being on stage, if you enjoy being in front of people, if you aren't afraid of being kind of goofy and trying new stuff, that's really what helps people excel in our sport. And your routines are highly entertaining. They are a blast to watch. And now knowing your hip hop background, that explains why your routines are so exciting.
Thank you, Ed.
Do you love like the whole element of the creative process with creating your routine each and every year?
Yes, I do. that is the most fun because I start with the audience.
Yeah.
What would the audience like? You know, you are a performer, you are the entertainment factor. What can I make them laugh at, smile at, take their breath away?
Yes,
what can I
absolutely.
create so that they have stepped into the routine with me for 2 minutes? Just leave the rest of the world alone and step in with me and just disappear for a moment in what I have to offer. So I enjoy doing the choreography and coming up with a new theme and piecing an outfit together with it and making each routine different as best as possible.
Sure, yeah. And it's interesting you say that because a lot of people will, you know, sometimes they'll say, oh, well, you did that skill in a previous routine. But I think people forget it's hard to come up with everything from scratch. Not to mention we do have mandatories that we have to do in a fitness routine, whether you're an amateur or a pro.
Right.
But the athletes who progress in our division, they're constantly learning. They're constantly trying to learn new tricks to bring to each routine. But there are some staple items. I mean, usually there's something that's your go-to, that you're known for, that you do very well. You're a high-flying tumbler. That's one thing that I'm always like, whoa, it's just absolutely impressive. So of course you're always going to do that. Are there other skills that you think, these are always really good. They always get the crowd going. What are some of your favorites?
Obviously, you mentioned my tumbling, and so I typically either try to have an X out, or if I'm tumbling with a prop, you know, I've done a tuck with the prop, or most recently, you know, I implemented the full, which some people know what that is and some people don't. But my handstand press down, which I've been doing since I was probably 7, is a very difficult skill. So I applaud these women that learn it over years to come, because mine has just been part of my world since I was a child. Because I can do it slow and controlled, and then I always throw my head up at the end with this big face.
Exactly.
Like, did you see that? So that's something that's not ever gonna really disappear out of my routines. I love that skill. And then, you know, the fly push-ups, they're anything that's high flying for me, I enjoy. But you're right, I'm always trying to learn something new as well, or to tweak something a little differently. As I get older too, and being a mom, and I've had 3 ACL surgeries on the same knee, there are certain things that I stay away from. And I think that that's smart, you know, as a competitor. We are in a division where injury could happen easily, and so I do try to implement new things, but I'm very aware of what I'm capable of and what I might need to steer clear of.
Sure. So I want to get into the injuries, and especially 3 ACLs. That's huge. But you mentioned something that this is an opportunity to educate people. A full. Again, it's a absolutely highly difficult skill. Explain what a full is.
Okay, so it is a backflip in a laid out position. You can do it tucked, but I would prefer laid out, and it has a full twist. So instead of just up and grabbing your knees, you're spinning, and then you're landing on the ground. And that's second nature to me as well. That's something I've been doing since I was 8 or 9 years old.
That's impressive.
And they're a lot of fun. My body knows it. I mean, it is autopilot. It's not anything that I have to really think about.
Sure.
But having the additional adrenaline rush on stage, the springs come out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the height on her tumbling is out of control, that's what I just absolutely love. But a full, the reason I bring that up is a full is not a skill many people bring to a fitness routine. So it is something that helps you stand out, and the degree of difficulty is so high, and it's super impressive. And knowing that you've had these injuries and can still do something to that degree deserves some recognition. So I have to applaud you on that for sure. Now, okay, so you did gymnastics growing up. What age did you start?
I started at 4.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
And you did it all through college?
I did my first 2 years of college.
Okay.
So my sophomore, going into my junior year, I tried out for cheerleader at another university, and took a step away from gymnastics, and there were a lot of things involved in that process. And being in the fitness industry now, I have realized that there are more women in this sport that have been through some of the same things that I have been through, whether it's injury or body image,
Sure.
or even eating disorders. I have dealt with that. Not at an early age. It started with me in college.
Sure.
Just with the leotard and what we had to wear and how we were supposed to look and how we were told to look and told to eat. And I had never experienced that before. And as a young 18-year-old, I was receiving advice and doing certain things that were not the correct way.
Sure.
And it took off on a path that for a while I could not control.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And that is a big part of, we see that with so many women in our industry. So I would love to dive in a little deeper to that too, as long as you are willing, of course. But let's go back to your injuries real quick too, because you mentioned 3 ACL surgeries. Now, one ACL surgery is a big deal. The second, the third, I mean, weakening that leg to that degree and still being able to pull out these dynamic, explosive, high-flying skills is pretty impressive, but it's a true testament of rehabbing, listening to your body and knowing, okay, I'm capable of doing X, Y, Z, but probably need to never do certain skills. So how far apart were all of these injuries?
My first was 2004, which was my freshman year in college.
Okay.
That one was obviously difficult because they took the patella tendon graft off the front. My second one was while I was cheering at Troy University in 2012. So they were 4 years apart. 2008. They were 4 years apart.
Okay.
That one I actually had my Don Joy knee brace on when it happened. It shifted forward. You know, most ACLs, there's a side shift that happens where the foot has planted, everything below the knee is planted, and then, you know, everything above shifts. Lateral. So the third one was 2014, coaching, playing around with some of my kids, doing a double full.
Oh my goodness, just a double full. No,
I landed completely fine, but I knew that it just went back and forth. And by that point, I had no cartilage in the knee. There's not a lot of pain that comes through that knee. And I knew. So we had patella graft, left hamstring graft, and then the third one they took from my right hamstring.
Wow.
So that actually has been, my muscle atrophy on my left leg is a little different now so that's due to the surgery. So that's something I have to be aware of in our physique round that we have for competition. But my hamstrings have been weakened from those. So that's the part of my body that I struggle with, that I have to stay on top of from the surgeries.
Sure. And that's rough. I mean, so we've got to make sure that you never have another ACL tear.
No.
Where are they going to pull that from? We got to keep you safe, girl.
No more. We're
what
smart.
skills do you know that are things that you probably should never try again because of the injuries?
I will not do layout step outs much anymore because that left leg is my lead leg.
Yeah.
So I try not to land solely on that leg. Standing tumbling for me is a little bit harder on my body because there's no momentum going in. So you're most likely not going to see me do any standing tucks or anything of that nature. And then I'm just careful going forward because they are blind landings. But yeah, so those are typically layout step outs are gorgeous, and to me they're a fairly easy transition in and out of things.
Sure.
But I have to stay away from them.
Okay.
So.
Hey, as long as you know what you're doing, we got, like I said, we're keeping you healthy. No more injuries, no more surgeries, and it doesn't matter because even without those things, I think your high-flying power tumbling is your go-to. So as long as you can keep that in, just don't do the layout step out.
You got it, Whit. You got it.
But we're going to take another quick break. We've got more questions, tons of stuff to discuss. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with Tiffany Chandler.
You diet down, train hard, and supplement smart for months. When the time comes to step on stage, don't leave your tan to chance. Go with the pros. Pro Tan. #1 worldwide since 1987 and the official sponsor of the Olympia for the last 15 years. Don't step on stage without it. Pro Tan.
And we're back with Tiffany Chandler, IFBB Fitness Pro, sharing your stories of how you got your start, your gymnastics career. Now, we heard that you did your show and it was a fast track, got your pro card. Now, at that point, were you married? I know you didn't have kids yet. What was your personal life as you were progressing with your athletic career?
Okay, I was just working full-time at an insurance company down in Daytona Beach, Florida, and I just wanted something to kind of fulfill that void that I had and to continue working out. And I had always grown up with, if I was going to exercise, there was a reason.
Sure.
You know, so the shows give me a reason to move forward and compete, but I was not married. Now, Jonathan, my husband, and I were together, and he has been supportive of this from day one. But I only was at that time in my life only thinking of myself with, okay, I need something extra. I can't just go to work and come home. I've got to have something to keep me motivated to exercise and stay healthy.
Sure.
So,
and you kind of gave us a glimpse into some of the struggles that you experienced in your later, not teenage life, because we're talking about eating disorders, and that's a big thing, and especially in our industry, in our sport. A lot of people get into our sport for the wrong reasons because it's all about body dysmorphia and trying to control things. Others get into our sport as their rehab and finding, oh, this is a healthy way, this is a healthy lifestyle. But it's a big part of the conversations for us as athletes. Would you care to share kind of your experience and kind of some of the things you went through? Because obviously you're living and breathing a healthy lifestyle. You have 2 young girls that I know plays a big role in trying to be a great example for them, but that wasn't without struggle.
Right, very much so. So I was diagnosed with EDNOS, which is eating disorders not otherwise specified, which meant I experimented with everything possible that you could think of and was dealing with some body dysmorphia. So during one of my therapy sessions, we had to lay down and a partner drew our body, kind of outlined us with sidewalk chalk. And then when we got up, we were to write or draw what we pictured ourselves, and I didn't have enough paper.
Wow.
You know, it was, it had completely gone outside. So that's something I actually still struggle with when I'm getting ready for a show. I don't know what I truly see in the mirror as I'm prepping. So a lot of things that I do are off of feel. How do I feel in my clothes? How does my brain feel? How are my energy levels? I try not to stare at my physique because I know that my brain can take it and run with it in any direction that it wants. Right. So I experimented with anorexia and not eating. One of the first ways that I actually implemented that was getting up and going to morning workouts that we had in college for gymnastics. I would get in my car and have a half of an Activia yogurt. I knew that those would help me use the restroom, and I would eat half of it and throw it out the window. And I knew that if I threw it out the window, then I couldn't have any more.
Right, sure.
Yeah, so that was just an example of what I started with, and then also getting to that point to where I had deprived myself of so much that I would go through a Burger King or a fast food restaurant and order 2 or 3 meals, eat every bit of it until I was sick. Wow. Until, you know, there was no having to truly, you know, stick my fingers down my throat with bulimia, but I would consume so much that it did come back up. And I lived with 2 other girls at that time, and I would go to the closet with a Walmart bag or a Ziploc, a gallon Ziploc, and throw up and then go throw them away. I mean, I hid a lot of this.
And they weren't aware. Your roommates had no clue about it?
I think one of them was very concerned about me at that point. And during that time, you know, I was really looking, I wanted to be loved, and I wanted people to be proud of me. You know, I grew up never wanting to disappoint by any means. And so, I mean, I took to hanging out on the weekends and partying and, you know, getting into trouble that I probably shouldn't have been getting into. And it was all because I was lost. Yeah. And I was not ready to reach out for help at that point. And that was my cry for help.
Right.
You know, and my mom, we've chatted about it, you know, more so as the years have gone, because I've gotten a little bit more open about it. You know, I locked it away for so long. And she was able to see those cries for help.
Sure. Thank goodness.
Yeah. And so a lot of it I had to learn on my own, and being in the industry and being with a good coach that it could explain to me the food groups and why I was eating what and why I was consuming these calories. And when I started to learn all of that, it made sense. And then my body craved it. You know,
the healthy lifestyle.
Yes. And it has been a huge win for me. This industry has been a blessing. And as I've gotten more open about it, I've had more competitors reach out, and we can talk. And there's no judgment.
Right.
And even if I'm just listening, I don't have to give you any advice.
Right.
Just, I'm here for you, because I do think a lot of us that step into that area of life, you see it as a weakness. And you're not weak. Just open up about it and communicate. Find someone that is your safe zone.
Sure.
And communicate that. But this sport has been wonderful for me. I know with a few people it has created roller coasters for them. So everybody is going to be completely different, and everybody's going to have a different road for sure. But this sport is a blessing in my life.
So how many years did you deal with this? And then what was it that got you out of it? It sounds like you went through therapy, maybe rehab, but how many years of your life were you dealing with it before that change was made where you started finding help?
I would say about 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
And I actually, while I was doing gymnastics in college, I saw a therapist frequently. And I was in some student groups that were other sports that had similar issues, and we had those weekly meetings that we had. And then after that, when I transferred schools and I became a cheerleader there, and at the time I was on the bottom, I was basing on an all-girl squad, and I knew that my goal was, okay, I'm short enough. I know that I can stand on a guy if I need to. Let's see if I can get my body in shape. Sure. And so I struggled there, you know, trying to make sure that I was doing it the correct way. And sometimes I would fall off into that. But I had some really good friends around me at that point that were very open and watching, you know, where I was and what I was going through. And then that's around the time that Jonathan and I, my husband, we started seeing each other. And he probably doesn't know a whole lot of this, but he was a reason that a lot of things changed for me because of the love that he had for me.
Oh, that's amazing.
You know, and not, you know, not hugs, kisses, but the fact that he was interested in, okay, you were on the football field. Well, how did your sideline go? You know, how was, you know, or how was practice? Or, you know, helping me. I started graduate school, and he was helping me with my schoolwork. And just things that, you know, I didn't think a typical man would help with.
And it had nothing to do with how you looked, you know, what size shorts or shirts you wore. It had to do with just loving you unconditionally. Right.
And then I moved to Daytona Beach for the job, and he was still in Alabama. And when I was trying to get going there and make friends, and I finally found fitness, I had just fallen back off to where, you know, I can remember I was actually on the phone with Tangi, and I was boo-hooing my eyes out, and I was like, I know we barely know each other, but I just ate 6 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches covered with syrup and honey.
Oh, wow.
Why?
How did she respond to that?
You're okay.
Yeah.
Tiff, take a breath.
Right.
You're okay. You got another day. You got another meal.
Don't beat yourself up.
It's done. It's over.
Yeah.
It's okay. We can start again.
So having gone through that journey, what advice do you have for anyone out there who may be in this situation currently, struggling, going back and forth? How do you motivate them to either pull themselves out of it, or obviously, even if you have gone through it, it's something that you constantly have to work on so that you don't fall back into those patterns. What advice do you have that may help you that you could now offer to help others?
Yeah, it's definitely a pattern that you have to be aware of, in my opinion. I do know and understand that each of us are completely different, so there are going to be different things that help. But the best advice I can give is that you have to give yourself grace. Yes. You are a human. We all make mistakes. We're going to have bad days, but we also get to choose our attitude.
Right.
And I'm the one that chooses my mindset for what is going on. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it even relates to the kids. If I feel like I'm, you know, not being a good mom, or one of them is super needy and I'm trying to get short fused with them, I choose that.
Right.
I choose my mentality and my attitude that goes behind that. So if you do fall off, if you do mess up, reconfigure your brain real quick, take a moment, give yourself some grace, take a deep breath and go, I got this. Positive self-talk. Mm-hmm. I can do this. I'm better than this. I'm not going to let this take over on my next meal, or this is not going to ruin tomorrow. I'm starting fresh. And that's the best advice I can give, with giving grace, positive self-talk, and choosing your attitude as you move forward.
Well, and with eating disorders, it's about control, right? We want to be able to control the way we look and the way we feel, but it's taking that control, that need for control, and putting it in a more beneficial pattern where you're going, I want to take control over positive self-talk, over not having to binge, over understanding that food is fuel. So you can still be in control. And I think that's where people struggle with, oh my God, I need to have this eating disorder for the rest of my life because it gives me control. Well, no, you got to shift where the control is focused.
That is so well said, Whitney. So well said, and that's perfect.
And I think it's great, like you said, that people are reaching out. That's such a huge, finding success. Like, okay, you've done great and you're now living and breathing a healthy lifestyle and you're excelling as a professional athlete. That speaks volume to someone who may be, you know, struggling in high school or early college going, this is my life and I'm wrecking it. Reach out. I mean, having those resources, that's great that you have shared this where you can say, hey, I'm here to help or listen, because that's for so many people with any type of addiction, it's being able to see a success story that they can resonate with to go, I can be okay. Yes. It's going to be a process. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it because look at the light at the end of the tunnel.
You're exactly right. And I'm, you know, I have the good Lord on my side, and it took me a while to understand, but I believe that I have been put through everything in my life that He has given me, every trial and tribulation that I have gone through, so that I can be there for other people, so that other people will feel comfortable enough to communicate or say, hey, I'm not alone. Yeah. You know, and I strongly believe that, and being able to pull through and come out on the other side, I want to be there for those individuals that feel like they don't have anywhere else to go. And just to know that it's okay, because there is no judgment. You know, that's something that I've had to learn just in life. Yeah. In general, you know, with everything, even when you're super lean walking around in Alabama, you know, who's judging me for what I look like?
The art of perfection needs to be modified slightly. We need to change that. And walking around Alabama, you're sweating it off. So you can't worry about judgment, right?
You can't.
Well, we've got more questions for you because obviously I got to touch on some of your major accomplishments as a professional athlete in the sport, as well as your personal life as a mom. So we'll be back more with Tiffany Chandler, but quick commercial break first. And we are back with the fabulous Tiffany Chandler. Let's talk about your pro career, because you've had some fun things going on, and you also have had a lot of cool stuff happening in your personal life. So you mentioned that you met Jonathan, now you're married, now you're an IFBB pro. So that was in 2011. When was your pro debut?
I did my pro debut in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, late 2011. I actually got on stage. What was it called? It was an all-girl show.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was Shayna Day's show.
Yes.
Had a blast. Took 8th place. Was over the moon. That's when I realized fitness girls were awesome.
Yeah.
Because Jody Bohm goes on stage and comes off and goes, y'all. She probably didn't say y'all.
Yeah, that's okay. We can.
You guys, there is a light right there front center stage, and it's super bright. Be careful if you have a skill or if it's, like your eyes, if it's going to blind you. And that went, I like this. I just had a competitor, somebody that I'm competing against, come off stage and help the rest of us out. So.
Our division that's what I love about it. And honestly, new in the sport back in the day for me, I loved the camaraderie. I loved cheering people on. And so I kind of saw, if you want me to be honest, some of these other divisions, and no one would talk to each other backstage. And I'm like, but why? Like, then there's us, and we are having a blast, and we're going, and, oh, hey, girl, make sure you set a little higher, or there's a bump right over here in the carpet.
Yes.
We're all watching out for each other. We all cheer each other on. I mean, if you've ever had the privilege of watching fitness girls backstage, we sit there like on edge with every athlete. I just got chills because we know how hard it is.
Yeah.
And we truly, genuinely cheer each other on. We don't want any injuries. We want everyone to hit their skills. We want them to step off stage and be like, nailed it.
Yes.
And it is. I mean, that's what makes our sport, our division so special. To experience that on your pro debut, that's pretty cool.
Yes.
Props to you, Jody.
Absolutely loved it. And I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
This is where I'm supposed to be. So 2012 was when I got to meet Oksana. I was in St. Louis with her. My mom was there. My mom absolutely fell in love with her. Just the sweetest thing. Got through 2012, 2013 at Tampa with Michelle Blank, who is one of my absolute best friends.
Oh, yes.
She takes first place. I take second place behind her. And I'm like, wait, what happened? I just placed.
You're like, wait, I'm on the awards?
Yes.
What?
I just placed. So I got super excited there, and then ended up on the Arnold Tour going to Rio, Brazil in 2014. Mm-hmm. And bam, then that's when I had that third ACL surgery.
Yes.
So when that happened, the doctors told me, okay, look, you've got a year recovery on this one. Mm-hmm. And that's when I told Jonathan, we got married in 2013, and I said, okay, here we are going into 2015. If we want to start a family, I think this is the perfect opportunity.
Right.
And so we did, and Stallings arrived in January of 2016. And
so adorable. I mean, spitting image. Talk about mini-me. Personality, looks, everything. I love it.
I love her to death. So she got here in January, and then I came out to Phoenix. Mm-hmm.
I was there.
And stepped on stage in October of 2016, so 9 months after Stallings arrived, and took 5th place. So I was like, what is happening?
Yes. Let me just say, because you and I were fortunate enough to do Tampa and some of the Arnold shows, so I got to know you well before, your last ACL surgery and before Stallings. So when you had mentioned, hey, I remember you messaging me saying, I'm going to come back. And I'm like, this girl is just unstoppable. And it was awesome because I'm like, oh my gosh, in Phoenix, I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
When you hit the stage, just your physique, again, this is very quick timeline. Post-pregnancy, your body looked amazing. Your routines were just as dynamic, explosive as before, and placed fifth. I mean, really, like that was so cool. I remember you running off stage, and you and I were just going nuts. It was just, and your mom, I mean, she was pouring tears because, again, you went through your third ACL, you went through a pregnancy, you're getting back on stage for many other reasons, not to place fifth. There was a lot of things you're doing in order to get back on stage for you, but it was such a cool experience. And to show women, look, it doesn't matter what path you take. Obviously, having a baby is a great thing. Having a surgery is not, but you still embraced it with the pride and the passion and the tenacity that a lot of people can't. And so it was a true testament to say, not only are you getting on stage and just showing the physique, you're actually doing a performance, which post-pregnancy, our bodies change a lot.
Yeah,
and
they do.
Tumbling, I mean, trying to get your flexibility back. It's not easy, but you owned it.
Well,
and you have been thriving since. So
thank you.
Did that just propel you to go, wow, what's my next goal after that show?
It did, and I got my first Arnold USA invite in 2017, and that was phenomenal, just a wonderful experience. But that also brought backstage conversation with other competitors about having children and potentially coming back.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we had seen a lot of that beforehand. Maybe moms that had come into the sport after their babies had arrived, later in life.
Sure.
So it raised a lot of questions, and I had gone through an emergency C-section with her, and so there were, and I went in depth with everybody backstage while we were waiting, and it was just an awesome experience altogether. But 2017, it definitely took off, because then I got to go to Africa and started placing better, and I think a lot of that had to do with my mindset. Because at that point, I wasn't competing just to compete or to compete for me. I knew that eating clean, training, exercising, and competing, because I enjoy the performance, was making me a better wife and a better mom. And I wanted to be able to provide something for Stallings that wasn't just words. I wanted her to watch Mom.
Your actions.
And
I can say from my own personal perspective, from seeing you early on in our career and then early on in our pro careers, you were a complete different athlete when you came back from your ACL and from your delivery with Stallings. And you were doing things for fun. Like you are one person that you're smiling, you're encouraging everybody. It had zero to do with the competition. Yeah, you're going in and you're going to give your best with your routine and your physique round, but it was like, you didn't care. You didn't care how it turned out. You were having a blast. This is a girls' trip. We used to always joke, oh my gosh, we get paid to come to these amazing countries and hang out on a girls' trip and have the time of our lives. Like, you embraced it, where people never get to that point in their pro career, and you've embraced it, and that's when you were excelling, and you just started getting bigger and better, placing at the Arnold, placing in Olympia. You've accomplished a ton, but I agree, like, your mindset shift is truly what I feel has got you there, because you're doing it for other reasons than just the outcome.
Correct, and I'm so glad that you see that, because that is the honest truth of what happened and how it works out. And I've already won by the time I get to the competition, because I've trained, I have figured it out, and I'm doing that right now, and I'm loving it, because Spivey is 6 months old, and I'm already on a path to greatness, because I've gotten into a new gym, because we just moved. Both of my kids are alive, they're fed, they love exercising with Mom, or we're got the grills back out and the blacktop, and we're cooking clean, after our move. So when I go and compete, those things I feel like already set me apart. Maybe from other competitors, because there's a lot of things that are on my plate. And,
absolutely.
And I work full time, and up until this point, because I'm putting in some boundaries, I've always had a second job, or I've always coached in the afternoons and things like that. And I'm embracing motherhood and being the best coach's wife that I can be to Jonathan. And that's why competing is what it is now, and the third place at the Arnold with you and Rael in 2019, the tears and the goosebumps was an experience that I'll never forget. And then going to the Olympia and placing 5th at my first ever Olympia, and I had no words. And I have those things to use as momentum coming back from Spivey. So, and I hope to hit the stage again at some point.
That's amazing. And I mean, obviously 2 kids, career woman, supporting your husband who's a football coach, which that's a whole nother ball game, literally. And, just moving. So you do have a lot on your plate, but you still do everything with a smile, and you still set your own goals for yourself, which I truly think is ultra important for us to all do. We can't have that mom guilt where we just give everything to others. It doesn't make us healthy unless we still have our own goals and focus on our own mental health as well.
Right, and I've struggled with that, because I got to a point to where I wanted to help everybody else, and I was putting myself last. And last year I had gone to one of Rael's fitness retreats, and I had come up with a slogan there that I was going to be selfishly selfless.
Yeah.
So I had
Oh,
to
I
be
like that.
selfish first in order to be selfless at
Right.
the end of the day. So I'm really trying to take care of myself first before I take care of my kids or help others, because in this industry, like, it is so important to me to step on that stage and know that I grabbed somebody else's hand and said, come on.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's go.
And that's what makes you a champion, truly.
So, and that's what is so fun about it. And I'm truly blessed and grateful. And I can't wait for more to come.
Yeah, for what's ahead. Okay, so you want to play some rapid fire questions?
Sure.
All righty. All right, so again, if you want to explain and elaborate, because I may have to know details based on your answer.
Okay.
All right, so something simple. What was your favorite fitness routine that you performed?
2019, the hip hop, the MC Hammer.
I love that. Right? You do that move so well. Slides across stage so fast. I love it. Okay, favorite skill that you've done on stage?
I did a handstand block at the 2020 Arnold, which a lot of people probably don't know what that is, but I went from hands on the floor up to hands on a mat. It's really hard.
Yep, that's very hard.
I was very nervous.
Yes, but you did it. Okay, skill that you want to learn, you have not been able to nail yet.
I cannot do a crock hold with one arm.
Oh, really?
Girl,
That surprises
my
me.
equilibrium is all off or something.
But you know what? That's what's impressive about our sport. I could never do a full, but hello, I can do that. So everyone's different. I love that. All right, so most embarrassing moment on stage.
Ooh, 2018 Arnold, I did the purge routine, and I was taking my top off and doing this little spin move, and I face planted.
That's right, I do remember that.
But I made up for it.
You're not a true athlete in the fitness division if you haven't had one epic face plant. Yeah, I've had a few, so. You only have one? Come on. Okay, what is your most favorite teaching moment when helping athletes in our sport, whether it's a fitness athlete or a bikini athlete, a moment where you went, gosh, I'm doing the right thing and I love this?
That would have to be when we're talking about attitude and mindset. And you get a lot of competitors that start to get down on themselves, or they start to get nervous and they start that negative talk. And I know that the good Lord has put me in the right place at the right time to help pull them out of that and say, hey, change the attitude.
Yes.
Positive self-talk. I know there's that little voice in there giving you some negative mess.
Yep.
But you can overcome it and you can override it.
And walking the walk and talking the talk. That's perfect from you. Okay, and then you've done some Arnold Internationals. Which one was your favorite?
Oh my gosh, Africa.
That was
We
a
had a blast in Africa.
That was a blast.
And then we went and hung out with the lions, and nobody realized that there was no tranquilizer gun or anything else around, just in case we were going to get eaten with the lions.
Oh, yes.
Whitney.
Yeah, I did get swiped at, and I still have the shirt. I was the dumb girl that wore the shirt that said, slay all day, and that lion was like, oh yeah? So we're sitting there taking the photo, and wow! I mean, thank goodness I have cat-like reflexes,
quick.
and was able to get away, because no tranquilizer guns in Africa at the safari. But I still have the shirt with the claw marks, and that exhibit got shut down, sadly, for all those other people in line. But we did have a blast. That's my favorite,
We
too.
did.
So,
we had a good time.
yes, now we just need to go and have more fun memories ahead. And you said you might be competing this year?
Yeah, so I would really like to get on stage before the year is over, but I have told myself, if this works and it fits, fantastic.
Perfect.
If it does not, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I still have a lot in front of me with the move and the kids and new jobs and things like that, but I'm shooting for it. I'm hoping October. There's a couple of shows in October.
Yes.
And if I can get there, great. And that's the goal right now. But if I don't, I'm completely at peace knowing that I can get started in 2023.
Absolutely. The sport's always going to be here, and I can't wait to see you back on stage, babe, after 2 babies, all these injuries, and you guys go back and watch some of her routines, because you want to talk about high flying, acrobat, that's this girl. So Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us, for sharing your story, and can't wait to see you on stage, babe.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Absolutely. Now that wraps another episode of FemFlex Friday. Thank you for joining us, and follow Tiffany on her journey back to the stage.